Hello everyone and welcome to the National Sim Racing Association Beer Street Journal Grand National Series from the Iowa Speedway here tonight. It's the first race of 2022, but it is also the penultimate round of the inaugural Beer Street Journal Grand National Series, and we are on the short track here tonight. I'm Peter Short. Joining me in the booth is Garrett Gleason, and Garrett, great to be back out here. We're looking at Maxwell Castro coming into tonight as your points leader.
Yeah, Peter, we're looking at Maxwell Castro, and boy, he's been impressive this season. Just seems to be up front every race, winning races, leading the championship. Really, the 15 is the car to beat as we go into these last two races. But, Peter, I just wanted to comment. I thought we were racing in Florida today. We're racing in Florida tomorrow. I wound up down there, and then they told me I had to come to Iowa. So I hope Chris Darling's going to reimburse me for these airplane miles.
Yeah, you were at the wrong track. There was a track change just the other day because the track that we had scheduled, which was Five Flags, we were unable to, at least the league was unable to get a setup that they felt was racy enough for everyone to really partake in. And I don't blame them. They're coming to Iowa Speedway. Garrett, this racetrack has a lot of nuances out there that promote good quality racing, like the variable banking. It's not a slow short track as well. You can kind of really ride the brake on in, get that car rotated on the bottom of the racetrack and really power down. This is a racetrack where we see lots of great side-by-side action, and I hope to see a lot of that here tonight.
Yeah, Peter, you're absolutely right. This is one of the best racetracks as far as iRacing goes from my perspective. Now, when we first started coming back here on iRacing, I struggled here, and I just didn't get this place. But it was in my head how we used to race here in NR 2003. And it's almost a completely different racetrack the way you have to attack it with these iRacing cars. And learning from some of the best drivers out there, the Jason Graciases, the Mike Telliers, I've learned how to race this place, and it is an absolute blast. And this should be a tremendous show. And I hope our audience is all back from their Christmas and New Year's, and they're ready to watch some good racing, because that's what we're going to have tonight.
Absolutely. We're riding on board here with Stan Hausman, the BeerStreetJournal.com number 39 machine, currently being scored on the scoreboard in the 18th position. He's checking on BeerStreetJournal.com while he's out there here tonight. Of course, it is the penultimate round, and that means only one more race after tonight to crown a champion. And Garrett, we were talking about this just a little bit before we went live. Currently, we have two main contenders for the title, but after tonight, it looks like we'll be down to just one, as Jason Gracias in the number 1 machine was battling with Maxwell Castro. There's the number 15 machine, but Gracias not in the lineup here tonight.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaker, Peter. We all know how talented Jason Gracias is, and he's a tremendous person to race with and partner with. But if you're Maxwell Castro, I think you just have to accept it. I mean, obviously, Maxwell's a tremendous racer. He wants to race for this championship. He wants to earn it. But he has earned it, Peter. He's put himself in this position to win this championship, and he's going to take advantage of Jason Gracias not being here tonight. It's no fault of his own, and I think he's still going to go out there and try to win this race.
Yeah, I think so as well. Let's get a little bit of a look of a blimp cam here tonight, because it is a really good-looking racetrack. There is that number 15 machine going out there. There's a look above this 7/8 of a mile racetrack, comes in somewhere between 1.75 miles in length, and I have to say, fairly unique racetrack, always puts on a good show, and we're expecting to see that here tonight. If you have not checked out our league sponsor yet, BeerStreetJournal.com, make sure you do so. They stay on top of all the craft beer news across the entire USA. One of the top stories is Highwire Brewing, who has several tap rooms across the nation. Well, they're building a new tap room in Cincinnati, so make sure you go check that out if you are in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. Great to have them expanding across the country. Maybe they'll make it to my neck of the woods down here in Texas at some point, but I won't find out, more than likely, from anywhere else but BeerStreetJournal.com. Great to have them on board all season long here in the National Sim Racing Association. But we have had a new driver atop the leaderboard here in practice, just 40 seconds left, and Ryan Johnson, who made a podium on his debut race all the way back at Bristol several weeks ago. We had, of course, a couple weeks off for the holidays, but this number 38 machine was very impressive at Bristol, getting that podium, and here he is atop the board in practice.
Yeah, not surprised after that run he had at Bristol, Peter. And this NSRA Beer Street Journal Grand National Series is finding some tremendous drivers on the streets, essentially, and they're coming into this league and they're making their presence known immediately. So if he could follow up his second place finish at Bristol with a win here tonight, I think he's going to solidify himself as a contender for next season's championship as well.
So, folks, welcome on in. If you're just now joining us, practice just now wrapping up. We're about to jump over into the qualifying shootout here in just a moment for the top spot in the penultimate round of the season. It really is going to be a lot of fun here to round out this season here on the channel. Next week, of course, is the season finale. And I'm looking forward to that season finale, Garrett, because we are going to one of my favorite racetracks in all of the sim. Some people might call it not super exciting, but it is Charlotte Motor Speedway, the 1.5 mile oval in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is going to be a lot of fun. There we see Ryan Johnson yet to head out onto the racetrack. Here is the number 11 machine, Chris Darling, already out there. Going to see if he can get an early lap in here. Only 5 minutes to put themselves on the grid for tonight's race. And I'll tell you what, Garrett, this racetrack, because it is, in my opinion, this is a short track. It's less than a mile in length. That's my personal threshold for a short track. If it's a mile in length or longer, it's a speedway. But if it's less than a mile, it's a short track. So Iowa Speedway still kind of has that short track feel. It does have some multiple grooves for passing and getting side by side, but a good qualifying lap might be important here tonight.
Yeah, I think so, Peter. I think you'd want to start up front here, especially the field. The field's not huge, but if you could get out front. And look who's here. Look who showed up, Peter. We just talked about Maxwell Castro coasting into championship week, but look no further because Jason Gracias has arrived, ladies and gentlemen, and he's here, and I bet you he's here to win the race.
Well, Jason Gracias is going to have to pick it up on lap number 2 here because his first lap was, let's just say, not too exciting. 7th of the 9, make that 8 of the 9 drivers to take time so far. He's going to have to charge his way through the field here tonight, but we've seen that before. James Miller, fastest right now in the number 09 modal Toyota Supra. He's headed onto pit road. Gary Eschen in the number 45, second fastest of all right now. Michael Madden, the number 37, he's out there going to try and pick some time up on lap number 2. Meanwhile, Drew Eisenman just went 10th on the board. Jared Appel going to jump into 3rd. So these drivers picking up laps and laying them down. Up at the top of the board, though, it appears to be James Miller. And James Miller, Garrett, I thought possibly was going to go to victory lane at Bristol a couple of weeks back. The last race we had, of course, just before the holidays. I expected him to go to victory lane there. Different pit strategies amongst the leaders. It just kind of shook out that it wasn't in his favor as Ben Mashburn pulls off to the racetrack there. But James Miller, possibly a little bit of redemption here tonight at Iowa.
Peter, I don't know if James Miller has had a bad race since he's come into this series. He's been fast every week, and like you said, I'm glad you reminded me because my parents dropped me on my head a lot when I was a child about the differing pit strategies that we had last race, and that's maybe a drop on my head again. But yeah, James Miller was definitely very fast at Bristol, and if that fell a little bit differently, he definitely would have walked out of Bristol with a win and had some momentum coming into this race. But we'll see what he has for them. As we can see in qualifying, some of these guys are able to put the fast laps down, but we'll see who has the long run pace when this thing gets green.
Yeah, that we will. Just going to jump over to our 3-wide TV Facebook page as Race Clark Casson on that wheel coming out of turn number 4. He will complete his second qualifying lap time and see if we can drum up some additional viewers here tonight for everyone watching at home. We want to thank all of you for tuning on in here tonight because, it's kind of a really, really cool thing that we now have, Garrett, and that is the fact that we now are a YouTube partner, which means we can actually do some really cool things. You can become a supporter of the channel. You can do super chats in the chat if you want and get your chat read out, although we read out most of the chats. But we'll be watching the chat here tonight. If you want to help out and support us and get some custom emotes in the chat, yes, that's right. You can use those custom emotes. We got a few really cool ones. We got a green flag, a caution flag. We got kind of that generic blank screen that you see in TV, because, you know, we always screw up here on 3Wide TV. That's when you spam that emote. And we also have the 3Wide TV logo emote, so you can throw that in as well if you wish to join up as a supporter of the channel. By all means, we really do. We do it for the fans, we do it for the drivers, and we really do hope that you get some value out of what we provide here on 3Wide TV for tonight's NSRA BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series from the Iowa Speedway. A great look of the racetrack as the clock has ticked down to 0. And we will jump over into the race session here in just a moment. Garrett, let's see if we can check out what is all going on. And all these drivers will be heading out there for, looks like not a brief warm-up session. We're going to skip a warm-up session, jump straight to the race. So let's bring up the starting grid here tonight, Garrett. James Miller on the pole. Gary Eschen going to start second. Jared Appel, Doug Neal, third and fourth. Nathan Maurer, Ryan Johnson, row number 3. Chris Darling, Ben Mashburn, row 4. Michael Madden, Brace Clark, rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, run number 6, we have our championship leader, Maxwell Castro. And alongside him, Brady Smith, who also made the chase. Next row here, coming up. Well, take your time. Peter, I'd like to ask, now that we're a YouTube partner, I'd like to get a telestrator like John Madden had, if you don't mind, if you could talk to Carlos about getting that for me. But we have Jason Gracias rolling off in 13th. Alongside him is Drew Eisenman in the 77. The Sheriff, Justin White, will roll off 15th. Shane Ledoux will take the number 12 out in 16th position. Travis Hoffler will start in 17th position. Alongside him is Jeffrey Vickery in the 18th. And I'm sorry, in 18th and the 21. Adam Pettit will start in 19th, and Stan Hausman in the Beer Street Journal number 39 will round out your top 20.
21st here tonight, Glenn Grimm, John Freeman roll off 22nd. And that will make up the 11 rows here tonight. 22 cars will get us started for tonight's event. Pace car lights will be turning off here, and once we get all these drivers out there on the field, we'll get them out there and rolling. Sometimes it takes them a little bit to maybe change their brake bias or their steering ratios from where they qualified at. So sometimes that just takes a little bit. There's a look back out of our pole sitter here tonight, the 09 of James Miller, Gary Eschen, with a great lap in that number 45 machine right alongside. Great run for him. And how about Doug Neal? Good qualifying run for the number 71. That is the country time. Chevy Camaro starting inside the top 5 here tonight. Good run for him. Outside row number 2. Nathan Maurer, also his teammate there in the 971. Also up there inside the top 5. Rounding out your top 5, in fact, in his Simbach Chevy Camaro. So some good runs from the teammates. We'll see if they can put that into a good run here tonight. We'll see if the iRacing pace car elects to head down pit road, and it would have to be a late lunge. Looks like it will not. It will go another lap around, as this is considered a short track by iRacing as well. Not just me, but iRacing also considering it a short track. But it's going to be a lot of fun here tonight. What are you expecting to see, Garrett?
I'm expecting to see one of our best races of the year, Peter. I think these guys are hungry for some good racing after the holidays. I mean, all that is over with. You spent time with your family, you got some nice presents, you celebrated the new year, which, Peter, you thought it was 2022 at the end of 2021, so I'm not sure what year you think it is now. But these guys are ready to roll here. They can't wait to get back racing in this Beer Street Journal series, and I think that's going to show tonight. And if it's wrong, then you guys could all blame me and say, Garrett jinxed us and we had a bad race. But I'm expecting one of our best, Peter.
Hashtag blame Garrett in the chat. I was combining your name with the chat, the Charrett. I'll tell you what, that will be your new name, Garrett, when we see you in the 3Wide TV chat. You often jump on in. We really appreciate it. Pace car heads down pit road, ready to go. Green flag here tonight in the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series. Green flag waves. The 09 of James Miller heads off towards turn number 1. Gary Eschen looks like he's going to slot into second. And I would just think, Garrett, these drivers might just try and find a little bit of a rhythm here early on, settle these cars down, find that groove, find that pace, and especially for drivers like the number 1 machine of Jason Gracias, who started outside the top 10. Well, the driver he's battling for the title with, Maxwell Castro, in the number 15, is right in front of him. So those two nose to tail out there on the racetrack. Only 2 races left to determine which of them will walk away with the series title.
Peter, what's that saying? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer? Well, they're not enemies, but they're definitely competitors out there, and if you want to beat that 15, you just got to keep them within your sights and be able to pass them when it matters. It looks like that's what the number 1 of Jason Gracias is doing. But Peter, I just want to say, like, some of these guys probably didn't fire up their sim since the holiday started, and these first couple laps, you're going to want to feel everything out, make sure your wheels still calibrated, the pedal. You never know what could happen with all this inactivity.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what happened here to Michael Madden. He was racing around the number 15 and the number 1 machine, and there might have been a little bit of contact there. Went down into the grass, did a stellar job of keeping the number 37 pointed in the right direction. Came back up on the racetrack, lost a lot of track position, but luckily doesn't appear to be a whole lot of damage. Right back there in the 20th position right now. John Freeman, the 04, did not start the race, unsure why, but he will be scored 22nd here tonight. Stan Hausman, the BearStreetJournal.com machine, currently running shotgun on the field as we're working through lap number 5 here tonight. 150 laps in store here tonight. We had 150 laps at Bristol, Garrett, and although I think we ended up with 9 cautions at the end of that particular race, we had a lot of green flag running. We're hoping to see a lot of green flag running here tonight. Could we see green flag pit stops here at Iowa? Only time will tell, but James Miller is under pressure right now from the number 45.
That 45 doesn't have any sponsors on it, Peter, but he's making his presence known out there. Sharp-looking car, even with no decals, and he's pressuring one of our fastest racers this season in James Miller. But don't keep your eyes on those two, because the third place car, Jared Appel, is sneaking up there as well.
Yeah, and then a little bit of a gap back to Doug Neal in that country time scheme. He ran that country time scheme. I know Michael Waltrip ran a country time scheme similar to that, but I'm not sure if that... I feel like that is a throwback, and I just cannot pinpoint who drove the pink and yellow country time machine back in the day in NASCAR. Maybe we can do some sleuthing while this race goes on and see who Doug Neal is paying tribute to. But meanwhile, side-by-side battle for the race lead, the 09 and the number 45 right here. And Garrett, we'll talk about this a couple times here tonight, but let's get a little bit technical for the viewers in the chat. It's been a bit quiet in the chat here tonight. This racetrack is progressively banked. What that means is the bottom side of the racetrack actually has less banking. The banking, of course, is the angle that the race cars are at in the corner. The more the race car is at an angle, the higher the banking, the better the car turns, the more grip. And that is just if you were to create the forces on the car and enact the forces on the car, the banking actually helps the car turn around that corner. But on this particular racetrack, the higher you get to the wall, the more banking there is. So the car will usually turn a little bit better up near the top side of the racetrack than it does on the bottom. The bottom is a little bit flatter than the middle groove. This particular racetrack, I mentioned it earlier, has some nuances. The higher you get to the wall, especially in turns number 1 and 2, there is some very, very big bumps up there on the top side of the racetrack. And if you hit those bumps, it could spell bad news for your race. Now, we are hearing that Shane Ledoux has had a moment. Let's go check out what happened to the number 12 machine. Here he is, back behind Stan Hausman and the number 37 of Michael Madden. Ooh, just got a little bit loose off the corner, did a whole seesaw back and forth to try and get it saved, and finally did get it saved, but he will lose time and a spot there back up at the front. Looks like James Miller continuing to hold on to the lead. But going back to the whole point about this racetrack being progressively banked, the car will turn better in the middle of the racetrack than it will on the bottom side of the racetrack, and similarly, it will turn better on the top side of the racetrack than in the middle of the racetrack. You just have to watch out for those high bumps. And honestly, Garrett, I've never really found the high line to be super helpful here because of those bumps, but that middle groove is usually the sweet spot at this particular racetrack. We're already seeing a lot of these drivers kind of gravitate towards it there. You see Drew Eisenman using that middle groove, Castro going a little bit lower on the racetrack, maybe trying to get some clean air and some extra downforce on the front of the number 15 machine. But at least for right now, this is a good group of drivers as they try and battle things out. Meanwhile, back behind them, here's Brady Smith and the number 2 of Justin White, a couple of drivers that were in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series chase, Garrett, but things not exactly panning out the way they had hoped here in the chase. It looks like Jason Gracias might have had a big moment in the number 1 machine in front of him.
Yeah, we're talking about guys who had moments during the chase and aren't contending anymore for this championship, and then we have one of the 2 contenders left remaining here right up ahead of these guys having a little bit of an issue. Let's take a look at what happened to Jason Gracias. Just got loose there and exit there and saved it on the straightaway. So Jason Gracias definitely capable of making saves like that. He, for his sake, he's hoping not to do that anymore tonight. But Peter, I want to go back to about your track talk here that you're having. That middle groove here, which you said was your way around, and I would agree that I like using the middle here better than the top as well. But that middle groove could almost become 2 grooves in itself, because you'll have guys running kind of a top middle where they're trying to carry more momentum down the straightaway, and you have guys trying to make a pass like a bottom middle. So for people watching at home, people always say, well, the bottom groove is the shortest way around the racetrack, which makes sense, but it's very hard to carry as much speed around the bottom of the racetrack, which is why you see the middle and top groove at a place like Iowa being so successful.
Meanwhile, look at this battle for the race lead. Gary Eschen was able to get pretty much side by side with James Miller, but he was on that bottom side of the racetrack, Garrett, that you were just mentioning, that sometimes that bottom side isn't as fast as the middle groove, and now the number 51 of Jared Appel using that middle groove to his advantage just got to the rear quarter panel of Gary Eschen. Now he can kind of force him down there into that slower bottom groove, and he's going to take the second spot. So move the number 51, who also has been impressive here on 3 Wide TV over the last couple of races in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. He will try and contend for the lead, and now Gary Eschen going to come back and try and do exactly what Appel did to him a lap or 2 ago.
That's part of racing, Peter. You study, you see how guys race you, pass you, and you try to use it on them or someone else as the race goes on. This is perfect learning experience for these guys as well as us up here in the booth. And I'm keeping an eye on that 4th place car, the Neil Bonnet throwback, Peter. I did a Google search. I'm not that smart, but looks like he's creeping into the picture as well.
Now that's it, Neil Bonnet. You said it, and I was like, that's it. That's it. The cogs clicked. Maybe I just have to shake off the rust here in 2022. But a good 4-way battle right now for the race lead. It is a big gap, about 2 seconds back to Nathan Maurer, who finds himself in front of Ryan Johnson. Fastest man in practice a little while ago. Johnson started in 6th, is now running exactly where he started, in the 6th spot. In fact, inside the top 6, only Appel has been able to make a pass by anyone, and now he's trying to get past James Miller as they go toe-to-toe down the backstretch here at the Iowa Speedway in the Iowa 150 here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. But caution, caution, caution. Caution flag number 1 here tonight waves, and we're hearing that it is Chris Darling who has brought out the caution flag for the first time. Let's see what happened here to the Taz Racing Customs number 11. Oh man, did they go 3 wide? No, they didn't. And oh, my goodness. You're not sure if he got loose, but the number 11 just threw itself into the wall.
Peter, I'm at a loss there. I don't think the marbles necessarily did that. Could it have been a hardware failure, or did he really just get that loose and it just took a while and it just got to the point where he couldn't correct it? Chris Darling's a tremendous race car driver, and there's no way this would happen without some sort of extreme circumstance. Yeah, just lost it, and it was way too beyond repair there for our good friend Chris Darling. That's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, Darling just it just went straight up into the wall, and not sure. It's almost like maybe someone came on and bumped his steering wheel or something. It turned up into the wall so hard. But that will be the first caution flag here tonight. We do want to give a couple shout outs to people joining us in the chat here. We got Ahidi Rig saying James has it in the bag, no contest. Thanks for joining in, Ahidi Rig. And Adam Dama in the chat as well. As looks like Jared Appel going to use a little bit of pit strategy to take the race lead here. Did not take tires under this pit stop. Gary Eschen, he did not take tires as well, nor did Jason Gracias, but it seemed like Appel and a lightning quick stop for the number 51 machine, maybe just taking on a little bit less fuel, not exactly sure. Meanwhile, James Miller, who had up until this point led every single lap, is going to fall back to fourth, and then basically everyone behind them, with the exception of Glenn Grimm. There is Glenn's 08 machine. He also did not take tires under this caution flag, but the rest of the field did. So far, our biggest mover in the way things are shaking out right now, Glenn Grimm and Jason Gracias. Remember, Jason Gracias Garrett in the number 1 machine, trying to go for the championship here. He's one of the chase drivers and really the only driver that has a shot at Maxwell Castro. He's 15 points behind Castro entering in tonight. That can disappear in a hurry because the NSRA Beer Street Journal Grand National Series uses the old school NASCAR point system. I say old school. It's not the super old school point system, but at least the point system that was used in the 90s and into the early mid-2000s, where it's 5 points for every spot inside the top 5. So Jason Gracias, he might be trying something a little bit different here, Garrett, to see if he can get a leg up on Maxwell Castro, maybe getting off strategy from the number 15. We'll see how that works out as the race goes on. But Garrett, I'm throwing it back to you. Quickly.
Peter, I just received word from Chris Darling's team, and what happened to Chris Darling is he was racing in his room, and Johnny's grandson came and hit him with a chair. So that's what happened. It's happened before to Johnny. It just happened to Chris. Johnny's grandson is out of control with that chair, Peter, and he's taking people out left and right.
You know, the way that happened, it actually took me back to the chair incident, and that, I gotta say, I think if I've now seen it twice, so now every time that happens, I will blame it on Johnny's grandkids. So someone, please don't give that child a chair. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Garrett, pace car heading down pit road. We're going back green.
Going back green, Peter, and I'm going to keep an eye on our championship contenders, but I'm also paying attention to the 51 and the 45 here. These guys are really impressing me so far. And to go back to our point, Peter, Jason Gracias, 15 points separating him from the championship lead. I look at Jason Gracias' status in this race as like when I bet on a basketball team. You're down by 15 points. You know, let's get that to 7 points. Then from 7 points, let's get it down to one possession game. And I think that's what Gracias has to do tonight. Just chip away. Get it a little more reasonable. And then next week, give it everything you have and go for the win. But that's all you can do tonight. I don't think you're going to be able to make up 15 points unless something catastrophic happens to the 15 in Maxwell Castro. But Jason Gracias falling back a little bit on this differing pit strategy.
Yeah, he is on older tires, and, well, we can tell he is falling back. Now he's got Race Clark to his outside. The number 38 of Johnson to his inside. Now here comes Drew Eisenman on the bottom side of the racetrack. He thought about taking it 3 wide. He ducks back in. And, oh, the 45 of Eschen. What a huge save from the number 45 machine. He was completely slideways. Let's see what happened here to the number 45, G.
Well, it looks like he had a minor Johnny grandson chair incident here, Peter, but he held on to it. Let's take a look. Oh, no, he had a little help. A little help. Him and Ben Mashburn racing for the same racetrack. And tremendous job there by the 45 to keep it pointed in the right direction.
Yep, Ben Mashburn's finding chairs out there. Who are we? Is this the WWE? I don't know. Maybe this is Hell in the Iowa Cell. Something like that. Bear with me, folks. That's what you put up with here on 3YT. But James Miller out to a huge lead on those fresh tires. Nathan Maurer is solidly now in second, then Mashburn in third. The first driver who did not take tire is Jared Appel, who has now slid back to the 7th position as he gets passed by Drew Eisenman, the number 77 there, the Eisen Designs Ford Mustang. Very colorful scheme right there. Meanwhile, here comes Race Clark in the number 22 machine, who had such a good race going back at the Nashville Fairgrounds earlier this season, and that did not come to fruition. But I'll tell you what, Garrett, this racetrack here, Iowa Speedway, has a few similar aspects to it, like Nashville Fairgrounds, like the progressive banking, and Race Clark here, so far, so good for him, plus 6 spots. And if he can get around Nathan Maurer, that would put him in the top 3 for the first time here tonight. He makes that pass stick. Going to try and run down Ben Mashburn in front of him, but all looking good for the NASA machine.
Yeah, he's on all 4 tires. He's not upside down. He's not in the catch fence. He's not in the infield. I mean, for Race Clark, this is one heck of a race so far, Peter. And hopefully he keeps it that way. I mean, we've seen a lot of times this year where Race Clark has had the speed, just hasn't had the luck, and hasn't been able to keep all 4 fenders on the number 22 NASA machine. I'm hoping these last 2 races change that, and he could carry some momentum into next season.
Hopefully so. Just checking a little bit further back in the pack. There's Adam Pettit trying to make a pass on Michael Madden. Madden, who has so far had a pretty good recovery after going through the grass earlier on. We did also, we didn't catch it on screen, but let's see if we could see what happened to Justin White in the number 2, one of our chase drivers right there in the Monster Rehab Chevy Camaro, kind of all by himself at this point, and he got loose coming off turn number 4, put it in the grass, and really lit up those rear tires to keep it going straight. Good job there, Justin, to not spin back up the racetrack, and although he'll lose a lot of track position, he will stay at least going in the right direction. He maybe wasn't going in the right direction for that whole period of time, but he was able to get there in the end. We're watching Jared Appel right here, Doug Neal in the Neil Bonnet throwback. I wonder if that's why he did that. Garrett, Neil Bonnet, Doug Neal Bonnet. I think we're just smashing the words together. So tonight, Doug Neal is Doug Neal Bonnet. How about that?
Yeah, I'm Drew Garrett Eisenman or Gleason. I'm not really sure what my last name is, but he could be Neil Bonnet, whatever the heck you want to call him. Peter, whatever. It's your show, but you're making up wrestling pay-per-views. I think more of a Cornfield Royal Rumble would have been better, but we'll work on it, Peter.
We'll pitch it to WWE. How about that? We'll see if they will buy into it. Maybe we can make some money off of it. I don't know. But speaking of that, folks, in the chat here tonight, Adam Dama saying, due to COVID, I'm currently locked down to my room. It doesn't smell the best either. Adam, hopefully all is well with you. Hopefully, I don't know if you have it or whatnot, but hopefully those around you who do are doing okay. And hopefully you can get back to living life as normal here very, very soon. But we have just become YouTube partners here at 3Y TV. If you see the green flag and the yellow flag emotes in the chat right there, well, you can join in and become a supporter of the 3Y TV channel. All you have to do is hit that join button there, and you can be a 3Y TV supporter. And once we get a couple of supporters, well, we unlock more custom emotes. More custom emotes means more fun. I think we already have some custom emotes possibly in order and in line. And you get a follower badge as well, a supporter badge. And you can, of course, upgrade that supporter badge as time goes on. And I think it's a really cool feature. And if you'd like to try it out, all it's going to cost is $1 a month, 99 cents, and you get the green flag and the yellow flag and the 3Y TV fail, and of course the 3Y TV logo emote, and hopefully we'll be adding more to the fold here very soon. As speaking of soon, I was thinking about Race Clark here, trying to soon make a pass on Ben Mashburn, and well, he's just about going to go do it here as he sails the number 22 NASA machine, or should I say rockets it off into turn number 3, something of the sort. Gotta keep with the NASA puns, as now Mashburn in the MaxGrafix number 24, he is holding strong on that outside line.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the 24 of Ben Mashburn, the run he's having here tonight. Ben's had some speed this year. I believe he's won a race in the series.
Whoa, whoa,
If
whoa,
not, that
whoa,
was
whoa,
the
whoa,
Truck Series.
whoa, whoa,
Oh,
whoa,
we have a
whoa,
wreck.
whoa,
We have a
whoa,
wreck.
well, we have two things going on here, and we'll highlight what's happening on the racetrack here first. And Race Clark, whose season has been very topsy-turvy. We'll kind of leave it at that. Unfortunately, ends up in the outside wall. No caution flag. Somehow, some way, iRacing has decided not to throw a yellow. Let's see what the flagman might have missed. And, oh, there was net code there. There was obvious net code. And Race Clark, I don't think there was any contact. And he got bumped on the straightaway like a bump draft and got the back end of the number 22 all loose. And let's see if we can see exactly. We're going to have to back this one up because it doesn't count as a caution, sir. It doesn't quite back up that far. And let's see if we can see this here. Garrett, put it into 3-wide TV slow-mo. Comes up, and I don't know if that was actually net code. It looked like net code from the first camera angle, but from the 3-wide TV blimp, looks like the number 22 of Race Clark got a little bit of help to put him into the outside wall. He came down pit road in his NASA machine, and he has unfortunately called it a night. So what looked to be very promising for Race Clark appears to be no longer. That same group of drivers out there still battling now. You see the front end damage to Ryan Johnson. But hey, the other thing, sorry to interrupt, Garrett, is we have our very first pit crew member. Heedy Rig has joined the pit crew here on 3Y TV, become our first supporter. We can't thank you enough. We can't thank you enough. We have our first supporter. How crazy is that? And now the caution flag comes out. Everything all happening at once here on lap number 47. Let's see what brings out our second caution flag of the night. Hearing it's the number 12 machine, Garrett.
Now let's take a look at this threat level midnight machine here, Peter. We had a couple of guys. He got loose once before, went through the grass. Let's see if that's what happens again. And sure enough, second trip. Oh, didn't get the grass that time, Peter. But even worse, he found the inside wall, and that is definitely caution worthy and a tough break there.
Yeah, tried to get it rolling as quick as he could, but wasn't quite able to do so in time. Let's ride on board with the number 12 threat level midnight machine. Like you said, Garrett comes out of the corner and he just gets loose there late on the straightaway, and there's that inside wall, shot him back up the racetrack, and your race leader, James Miller, was coming right by the start-finish line, and that is why iRacing has thrown our second caution flag of the night here. Now we'll see whether or not our leaders elect to come down pit road. I expect some of them to come down pit road, especially those drivers who stayed out under our first caution flag. And Christopher Darling, holy smokes, in the chat saying, Peter, has Garrett graduated from the crib to the race car bed in your home yet? A $5 super chat, Chris. Our first super chat ever on 3-Wide TV. I need to take a screenshot of this and I'll send it to our producer, our other producer, Carlos Acosta. There we go. Not sure if you get the dimmed screen there for just a moment, but a screenshot will be headed over. Garrett Gleason, what's your response to CD? What's your response to that?
Well, CD shouldn't worry about what bed I'm sleeping in because his fantasy football team's sleeping in a 6-foot grave I dug for them on Sunday. So, Chris, well, you can make all your jokes all you want, but when it matters, this guy right here is the champion.
Well, I'm just going to say, Darling had a super chat. You can just chat. Darling did a super chat, so I don't know. Yeah. Anyhow, we have a lot of fun. Thank you very much for that. 3-Wide TV is, we've kind of fostered a really good community with a lot of our watchers and a lot of the links that we broadcast. And, of course, a lot of the sponsors here, BeerStreetJournal.com. Great page. And, looks like perhaps maybe another super chat coming in. A Heedy Rig coming in with $5 and a cent. What a super chat that is. Thank you very much, Heedy Rig, for not only being our first member, but our second super chatter, first one to do both. We're knocking down all of the check boxes here tonight, Garrett. But really cool to have you guys on. 3 Wide TV's nothing without the chat. We do it for the drivers, the chat, and everyone, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of, Garrett, and go out there and have some fun watching these drivers, and I really enjoy watching each and every lap that they do.
Oh, Peter, I love this series. I love this league, and I love Chris Darling. He's a good friend, and I don't want to spoil this for anyone, but this is the second to last race you and I will be calling on Thursday because you have a new family member on the way, and it's been an absolute blast, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, Peter, to be honest.
Yeah, of course, we will still be broadcasting our Friday night National Sim Racing Association, NSRA, the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series going forward, and I'm looking forward to that. Of course, we got them back in action right here on 3 Wide TV tomorrow night. And tomorrow night's race, well, it is going to be at a very spectacular racetrack. We're going to Daytona International Speedway. Like you said, Garrett, we're going to Florida tomorrow night. Super Speedway action in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series Chase. It is going to be a lot of fun to see who is going to end up our series champion. 10 drivers: Gracias, Canizaro, Darling, Scott, White, Price, Scheffler, Mashburn, Maurer, and Travis White, all in the chase and trying to be champion of the Truck Series. That season's a little bit longer than the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. So we still got 5 races left in that. In fact, it is the first chase race. So if you haven't tuned in, you have only missed the regular season. There's still 5 races to play for that series championship, and it all kicks off tomorrow night, G.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Peter. Looking forward to getting back in the truck, have a good run at Daytona, and not getting anyone's way or cost anyone the chance at the championship. But you never know what tomorrow could bring, Peter. I could get sent to the booth. Sometimes that happens. I look forward to racing, and then I pop in the booth. But again, I enjoy my time with you commentating, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. But we still got a little bit under 100 laps here, and the racing's certainly not through.
Racing certainly not through, as the iRacing pace car lights have turned off. James Miller, Drew Eisenman on the front row for this upcoming restart. Now, we will kind of give you a rundown here in just a moment of who all elected to come down pit road. Not everyone elected to come down pit road. Green flag in the air. James Miller, who was one of those drivers who stayed out, is your race leader, but for how long, we will have to find out. We saw those drivers on older tires really struggle on that last restart. Here goes Maxwell Castro up the middle, your points leader, putting himself in a very precarious position, but somehow, Garrett, he squeaks on through. He's up to third, and he is our first driver on fresh tires.
Well, those fresh tires, boy, do they make you feel good out there, Peter. You just start flying through the field. I don't think I've ever flown through the field like that, even on fresh tires, but that's a problem with me. But Maxwell Castro, championship leader, looking real solid out there right now. But there is a gaggle of cars behind him, Peter.
A gaggle of cars, indeed. There is Jared Appel, who came down pit road and took on his first set of tires. Maxwell Castro, do want to make mention that he came down pit road and only took on fuel, so he still has an extra set of tires on pit road. Ben Mashburn, number 24. Now, maybe we go 3 wide on 3 wide TV, maybe 4 wide on 3 wide TV. We're not 4 wide TV. That's our April Fool's joke. If you see that one and you see us changing to 4 wide TV on April Fool's, well, the cat's out the bag. We've done that the past couple of years. So, but anyway, 4 wide on 3 wide TV. I don't think we quite had that, but definitely a little bit of 3 wide, as we got some great racing here on this restart.
Oh, we talked about great racing at the beginning of the show tonight, Peter, and these guys aren't disappointing us right now. It's not go time as far as I'm concerned, but these guys seem to feel that way. And I was watching one of our championship contenders, Jason Gracias, coming through that absolute mess there, and he wasn't lifting, Peter. He wasn't worried about points when he was trying to pass some of those cars.
And that's for sure. Carlos Acosta joining us in the chat. Carlos, we have our first pit crew member. Ahidi Brick has joined the pit crew here on 3 Wide TV. Shane Ledoux is off the pace in the number 12 machine. Right there, we've seen him have some struggles. He is multiple laps down and appears to be well off the pace right now. Not exactly sure what is all happening there. Meanwhile, Gary Eschen in the number 45 machine. Garrett, let's jump on board with the number 45 because he has a huge gaggle of cars right in front of him, including the race leader, the 09 machine of James Miller, who's just a little bit ahead of this group right here, and it's looking a little bit congested up near the front of the field.
Yeah, it's very congested, Peter, and I'm just trying to be real quiet here on my best behavior. And Carlos, you're looking great today, by the way. You're a handsome devil and smarter and more successful than I'll ever be. Just wanted to let you know that for no reason whatsoever. But what a race we have, Peter. Gaggle of cars and a lot of fast cars here in traffic, and we're just going to see how the patience plays a role in this. 90 laps here to go, and seems like there should be patience, but it looks like it's running out very quickly, Peter.
And a gaggle of super chats as well. Chris Darling has become our highest super chatter ever with a $5.02 super chat. It's going up by 1 cent increments by the looks of things. We'll just wait for the $5.03 super chat out there. We'll see if that comes in. But a great race as Nathan Maurer has taken his 971 to the race lead for the first time here tonight. He is the first driver on fresh tires. Came down pit road on lap number 49. Got himself out front. Trying to get off strategy from some of these other drivers. We've seen him up there kind of inside the top 5 for the second green flag run. And now he's out front with Doug Neil Bonnet in the number 71 right behind him. Also on fresh tires, Jared Appel on fresh tires in the number 51 machine. Gary Eschen came down, took fresh tires. James Miller, however, holding tough, holding really strong considering he did not even come down pit road on lap number 49 in the number 09 modal Toyota Supra, but he's now fallen to the last spot inside the top 5. Checking out this group right here, championship implications between the 15 and the number 1 here. Garrett is Jason Gracias. Remember, under the first caution flag we had around lap number 23, Jason Gracias did not even pit, did not use a set of tires, so he is now on his first fresh set of tires here tonight, racing with Maxwell Castro, who conversely did not put on a fresh set of tires when they came down pit road a couple laps ago, as they almost make contact there in turns number 1 and 2. But get the spot to Jason Gracias, just 15 points behind Maxwell Castro entering into tonight, and now Gracias has the upper edge, at least for now in this one.
Yeah, advantage Gracias so far, and Castro still has those points to lean on. But Peter, like you said, that Maxwell Castro did not take on tires his last stop. That was pretty impressive, him racing with someone as fast as Jason Gracias, who is on fresh tires. I'm always a fan of that strategy, Peter, where you try to save that set of tires or see if you can go a run without putting tires on. And some of these guys are definitely fast enough to pull it off. Usually I end up struggling to stand the lead lap or go a lap down and have to get a lucky dog, and you have an issue. But this could play an advantage if someone is able to save that set of tires for the end here.
Just 9 laps away from seeing the cross flags here in the BeerStreetJournal.com Iowa 150 as Gary Eschen and Doug Neil Bonnet in the number 71 go side by side out of turn number 4. Neil, given that Neil Bonnet ride, a pretty good showing here tonight. Started this race inside the top 5, right where he's running in 4th. So if he can make that pass on Gary Eschen, who similarly started inside the top 5 here tonight. 2 drivers who have been up there near the front of the field for a majority of the race, as Neil almost catches that wall out of turn number 4 that time. I think Neil is in a good spot, although he goes up the racetrack, hits that nasty bump. You could see that number 71 really get a little bit uneasy. Just thought he was going to be able to put the power down a little bit, but Gary Eschen here is going to clear the number 71, so Neil going to slide back into 4th. Let's check out some other battles happening on the racetrack, because Gary, this is Iowa. There's battles all over this racetrack all the time. That's just how this racetrack is.
Yeah, Peter, we talked about it early on. This is one of the best tracks as far as people's preferences here in iRacing, and we're watching right here the 08s in the bottom. We have Stan Hausman, the 39 Beer Street Journal car, running the middle, and you have the 20 just looking for a place to pass. And Chris Darling said in the chat that top lane, it's just no good. He said there's a drainage ditch up there that's with those bumps, and it seems like that's what the 20 struggling with there. Doesn't want to sail it in there and take a chance in that top line, so he's hoping these guys can sort it out ahead of him so he can make the pass.
I'm not sure if it's a drainage ditch or a chair in that third groove. I'm not 100% sure. There might be a loose chair out there. Chris, you might have to throw a caution for debris in turn number 1 and 2. I'm not sure with that big bump out there. But Glenn Grimm looks like he's going to get around Stan Houseman here, so move Glenn up into the 11th position. He came down, put on a fresh set of tires because he did not put on a fresh set of boots around lap number 23, like a lot of the other drivers around him. So the 08 just starting to carve his way up through the field. Drew Eisenman has slid back. He elected to not pit under this most recent caution, so he might be a little bit lower on fuel by about 20 laps than some of these other drivers around him. Drew has really had not a lot of luck on his side this year. Dominated that race back at Texas Motor Speedway. We had a ton of cautions, and then Drew decided to stay out. No cautions to the end of the race, and he had to pit under green flag conditions. So hopefully he can have a good showing here tonight before he joins me up here in the 3-Wide TV booth tomorrow night for the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Speaking of Stay Tuned Sports, there's that drainage ditch. Drew Eisenman just hit it. The drainage ditch, the chair, whatever you want to call it there in between turn number 1 and 2. You could see just how violent it was as Eisenman went over. Let's see if we can get that one on a 3-Wide TV replay.
Peter, you did it again, pal. New year, same Peter. You spotlight someone out in the racetrack and you jinx them, and it's your good friend Drew Eisenman, and it was completely uncalled for. But let's take a look at this replay and see what happened.
Now let's just do it from this cam right here, and it didn't look that bad, at least from that view. But let's see if we can do it from kind of the roof cam, because the roof cam will tell you a different story. Watch this bump right about there. You can see it kind of hit it not once, but kind of twice. Both times it kind of jarred the car up the racetrack, and he loses that spot to Glenn Grimm in a hurry. And I'll tell you what, I've hit that before at this racetrack, and it's a great way to lose time here. Unfortunately, losing time on a racetrack is usually not what you want to do. So usually people don't stray up into that top groove here.
Peter, how many laps were you leading the field by when that happened? I probably didn't bother you too much. I mean, if we want to talk about losing time on a racetrack, I feel like I should just take over the broadcast.
You appear to be, at least from a lot of the races that I've seen, Garrett, here on 3-Wide TV, amongst the leagues that we broadcast, I think you're really good at it. Sometimes you just have to take pride that you're really good in some things. You're really good at losing time on the racetrack there, bud.
Hey, when I used to get those body fat tests from school and I was in the 100th percentile, I used to go home and hang those on the fridge, Peter. So, hey, you got to take any achievement you can get, bud.
Any 100% is a good one, isn't that right? I mean, at least you're better at not losing time on pit road than Chris Darling. Chris Darling, the master of losing time on pit road, and now in our chat. So, Carlos Costa saying get Peter on the racetrack. Maybe we'll do that next season at some point in the Total Nonstop Racing League. We'll have another race where I'm behind the wheel of the car. That was a lot of fun when we did that at Circuit of the Americas a while ago. Of course, I'm ineligible to race in the National Sim Racing Association, so except for their Super Speedway series, but that's okay. That's okay. I like being up here in the booth. You got comfy chairs, Garrett. If you don't eat the buffet, all of the buffet, we still have the buffet up here. Just have to kind of get to it before you do.
Peter, how many times I make one mistake in my entire life? I'm 31 years old. I make one mistake and ate the entire buffet on you and JD Laird, and I haven't heard the end of it here for 4 weeks. You actually messaged me on Christmas Day and told me to leave some food for my family. How do you think that made me feel, Peter?
I mean, I don't know. I was hoping maybe a slight amount of guilt, but I don't know. I mean, it probably didn't even faze you.
Yeah, let's get back to the race on the track, Peter. As we lose our 3 super chats, and Carlos is taking notes right now, and we'll probably be in a meeting tomorrow. But we have a good battle here between Maxwell Castro and James Miller. Certainly, you've seen that throughout the season.
Yeah, Maxwell Castro pulling that move on James Miller. Miller on those older tires now, sliding back into the 8th position. Jason Gracias, on the other hand, has run down Michael Madden. This is a battle for the 5th spot on the racetrack right now. Gracias trying to get every point he can away from the field to see if he can pull himself a little bit closer to Maxwell Castro. And Garrett, how awesome would it be to go into next week's races? Carlos Acosta has joined the pit crew. Carlos, that's 2 members, buddy. We can get more emotes. How about that? That's really cool. But if Gracias can get enough points, get himself in position, Garrett, we have a 2-horse race. They could be neck and neck next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
We want to build the drama here on 3Y TV, Peter. We want this championship battle to be as tight as humanly possible, and the only way we're going to get to that point is for Jason Gracias to have a good night and beat Maxwell Castro by multiple positions. As we see some smoke on the racetrack, Peter, I would not be surprised if someone went sailing to the infield or got loose out there. Let's take a look at it.
You know, typically you want to be sailing on the ocean or sailing at least on a lake, but not sailing through the infield grass. That's where Adam Pettit found himself there, and luckily finds that bottom road that I've never really figured out why they have that bottom road down there. Feel like that would be a fun configuration of this racetrack to drive, but Adam Pettit gets back out there on the racetrack in the number 58 machine, loses a couple of spots in doing so, currently being scored in the 17th position. Actually, currently not out there on the racetrack, came down pit road. Nathan Maurer is still your race leader. Jared Appel is in second, as you see some of that smoke continuing to linger. Ben Mashburn has come down pit road in the number 24 machine, just made his pit stop. Adam Pettit as well is on pit road with all that damage from that contact with the outside wall. Hopefully can get back out there on the racetrack here soon. Here is the number 1, though. Jason Gracias continuing to work his way up through the field. Garrett, we mentioned the fact that he didn't have a great qualifying run, but how many times have we seen Jason Gracias in the number 1 machine carve his way through the field, be there for the checkered flag, and possibly ending up going to victory lane?
Yeah, we've talked about it before, Peter. Jason Gracias seems to like starting in the back, working his way through the field, feeling everyone out. I think that's just the way he has fun. And I don't blame him. But certainly, when you have the speed to pass people, the more cars you pass, I'm sure the better you feel out there. And when you're contending for a championship, I'm not sure you want to necessarily take that risk and start as far back as he does. But he's made it work for him, and we see him steadily moving his way throughout the field here, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Darling has also joined the pit crew. How about that? 3 pit crew members here tonight at the Iowa Speedway. That's so awesome. We thank all of y'all for jumping on. And, of course, Carlos, I'm not sure if he exactly counts, but, yeah, he does count. I'm just kidding. Carlos, thanks for joining the pit crew. I mean, you're more than the pit crew. You are the crew. You're the crew chief of this whole gig. If anything, we should have a special title for you here on 3Y TV. Carlos, the crew chief. In fact, that has alliteration going with it as well, so that absolutely works. But thanks for joining. Now, we did have a question from Adam Dama. What is the pit crew? There is a join button on your screen in some countries. I'm not sure about South Korea, but some countries have a join button. Some don't. Not every country will you get that button, so maybe it's just a region-locked thing where you can't get it in South Korea. But meanwhile, we got this good battle right here. And speaking of craziness, Adam Pettit on fresh tires just came off pit road, trying to get past Gary Eschen right here, trying to use those fresh tires. He's going way up the racetrack. He's found the bumps, the whatever up there in turn number 1 and 2. What did we call them? The drain hole, the speed bump, the drainage ditch, the chair. It's everything here at Iowa Speedway. Throw all of that into the kitchen sink in turn number 1, and you get that big bump. But looks like Pettit's able to finally clear this group. But we got a side-by-side battle for second. And how about this side-by-side battle? Rubbing into turn number 1, Doug Neal and Michael Madden. A lot happening here inside the top 5 right now.
Peter, I was going to make the comment that perhaps Madden did not see the 71, but I think that would be nearly impossible. So Madden's making his move there. It looks like he's going to try the high side now and see if he can pull this pass off. But it's impressive to watch the new tires and how he was able to use that third groove to get his lap back there. Pettit, that was pretty impressive as well.
This is currently the best battle on the racetrack for position. Nathan Maurer has a 1.4 second lead over Jared Appel, who is 3.5 seconds in front of Gary Eschen. So some pretty big gaps. Gracias there smacking the wall off towards turn number 1, but some big gaps developing out there on the racetrack as we have been green flag now for quite some time on the racetrack. And we got a whole bunch of people spamming the emotes in the chat. That's what we love to see here. You folks having fun in the chat and joining on in, waving the green flag, the yellow flag, the fail emote, which is the kind of the blank screen for TVs or broadcasting, and of course the 3-wide TV emote as we are side by side for the third position between Gary Eschen and Jason Gracias. Gracias started this race in the 13th spot. This would be plus 10 if he's able to pick up this spot, as we quickly saw Justin White and Brady Smith peel on to pit road to make their green flag stop here. Garrett, we've been green flag for quite some time, closing in on lap 100 here tonight, closing in on just 50 to go.
I think we're finding the window, Peter. Some of these guys, I think their tires have had enough out there. They're coming in, getting their set of tires on, and I'm not sure if they can make it to the end, Peter. That would be a question for someone who did their research before the race, which wasn't me, that's for sure. But we'll see what difference these new tires make. And these guys on old tires, you could ill afford to stay out there on these old tires and give up that much time, as we see a bunch of our leaders here coming down pit road.
Yeah, Jared Appel coming down, Gary Eschen, James Miller, Drew Eisenman, the number 77, Eisen Designs, Ford Mustang also coming down on to pit road. Will this bring in Nathan Maurer as he flashes on by to put those drivers on pit lane 1 lap down? 971 looking all good here tonight. We're looking really, really strong once he got out front. Has not looked back. It's got that good lead now. As they currently run on the racetrack, Jason Gracias in second as we work through this particular pit sequence. About 6 seconds behind Nathan Maurer. Nate doing a great job here tonight. Maxwell Castro, he is running in 5th right now, back behind Doug Neal and Michael Madden. In fact, closing in on those two drivers in front of him as the lap counter continues to work its way down. Just looking up and down to see if we have any pit road speeding violations. Does not look like we have any just yet. We will keep you updated on that as the run goes on. Here comes Doug Neal coming down pit road in the number 71. He almost ended up in those water barrels that they have at the end of pit road. Wow. Hot pit entry for Doug Neal Bonnet.
Well, we joked about being able to see Doug Neal out in the track, but Doug Neal didn't see pit road wall there too well as he was coming in there real hot, but it looks like he got it under control, and we'll see the number 20 here making a pit stop as well, Peter. How many more cars do we have that need to make pit stop? Just a couple at this point, correct?
Yeah, just a couple, about 5. There's Travis Hoffler on pit road. Haven't really mentioned the number 20 here tonight. Kind of a quiet race, but you know, sometimes a quiet race is a good race, Garrett. If you're not smacking the wall, you're not getting involved in incidents, anything like that. You're just clicking off laps, and that appears to be what Travis is doing. Meanwhile, we got some of these drivers heading back out there onto the racetrack. Get a little bit of look of the backstretch camera as your race leader, Nathan Maurer, flashes by right there. Justin White, then Travis, Stan Hausman, and Drew Eisenman in tow. As a field, you can just get a look of it here, Garrett. Fairly spread out at this moment in time, but 50 laps to go, and a caution flag could change anything.
Yeah, a lot of these guys want to see the caution flag. The guys that have stayed out, I'm sure, but the guys who have pitted want this thing to keep green. And I think everyone out there, Peter, at this point has made up their mind what their strategy is for the rest of this race. And that's what we're seeing here. Guys like Nathan Maurer, Jason Gracias, they have their number in mind, what they need to get to, and that's what they're going for. And you're going to lose some time here, but maybe towards the end of the race, you'll have the advantage. As we're watching some chase contenders here and some fast drivers here. Eisenman, White, Hausman, right behind the leader.
Yeah, they're trying to get one of their laps back. Currently being scored 2 laps down, although Eisenman gets one of those back the hard way, and he is now back to being 1 lap down. First driver 1 lap down actually is the number 51 of Jared Appel. He is quite a ways back as well. There he is at the start-finish line in the number 51 Chevy Camaro. And I just wonder how long will it be until we see Nathan Maurer come down pit lane. I'm surprised he continues to click off laps. Maybe he feels like he's in a really strong position. And to his credit, he is. He had a strong lead at the beginning of this pit sequence. Excuse me. I just kind of wonder what is there to lose with him coming down to make a pit stop. As you see, Jared Appel go around the number 1 of Jason Gracias. That is not for position, as Gracias is the second place driver right now, yet to make what we believe will be the final pit stop of the night or so. As we're quickly running down laps, only 2 caution flags so far here tonight, which is kind of what we saw at Bristol, Garrett, a couple of weeks back, where the first 2/3 of the race was mostly green flag running. But in that race, there was a lot of late race cautions, and we could see the same thing here tonight.
It usually only takes 1 caution period to bunch these guys back up and then get guys to play a little bit of bumper cars here, especially at this point in the race, 2/3 of the way in. We've seen that a lot, and it's no fault of anyone out there, but as the laps wind down, the intensity goes up. That's just racing 101, and if someone ends up making a mistake here, spinning, whether it be old tires or coming out new tires with a different brake bias or something than they're used to, anything can happen here and throw a wrench into this race for everyone out there, let alone our championship contenders.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a question in the chat if you're just now joining us. What other emotes would you like to see? If you are one of the pit crew, we have a couple here tonight. We've had 3 new members here in our first broadcast of 2022. And because we've had 3 members, we can actually now get more emotes. So we have more emote slots. And if you want to have an emote, I think there needs to be an E and E emote. Just E and E for every time I say each and every one. Because I say it an awful lot here on the channel. I don't mean to say it an awful lot, but I end up saying it an awful lot. Each and every stream. There you go. I walked myself right into that as Jason Gracias is down pit road. And here comes Nate Maurer right there at the top of the screen. Zoom in on the 971 machine. We'll see how this all sorts out because, Garrett, we know that a lot of the other drivers around him have been out there for several laps on fresh tires, using those fresh tires to be lightning quick. Presumably, Nate Maurer might have to run him down here in the final 40 laps or so.
Peter, exactly right. Nathan Maurer, Jason Gracias, they're going to have to get out there and make up some time because they stayed out in the older tires and presumably lost time. I mean, I've been surprised and wrong before, but there might be a point where I think they're going to need a yellow, Peter? Or am I just thinking way too far ahead here that they might be able to make up this time under green?
I mean, I think they'll be able to. You got fresh tires. You can head on out there, use those tires to your advantage, and really just knock off lap after lap after lap. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Vickery in the number 21, he is the last driver to hit under this particular pit sequence. The 21 has the race lead for probably not all too long as Jared Appel on fresher tires. I think that is the Michael Schumacher helmet on the number 51 Exxon machine of Cole Trickle right there, as Appel has been almost a full second faster over the last 5 or 6 laps, so he will presumably make this pass extremely easily in turn number 3 and 4 right here, and I expect him to complete that pass. Sure enough, does. Jared Appel, your new race leader. And now the question becomes, what is the gap between Appel back to Maurer? And this is going to be what we are going to have to watch over the next, little bit. How much faster is Nathan Maurer? That's probably not the best graphic to show. Let's see if we can bring up kind of the other one that will exactly show how much faster Nathan Maurer has been. And there is the graphic. There's the story, Garrett. Nathan Maurer on lap 113 was 8.5 tenths faster. Lap 114, a full second faster. Lap 115, 7 tenths of a second faster. And what is the gap between those two drivers, you ask? Well, it currently sits at about 7.6 seconds. So if Maurer can continue that, even half second per lap, he will be there before the end of the race is over. So Maurer has to keep up that pace, but he has fresher tires, and the 51 will continue to lose grip, as will Maurer. But Maurer here again, clicking off a stellar lap, just about 8.5 tenths faster that time. Just check on him as, we're hearing that we might have a car off the racetrack. We'll check on that here in just a moment. Let's see if let's see if we can check in on that. What happened here, Garrett?
Well, Peter, this is why they pay me the big bucks here on Three-Way TV. We're going to watch Ben Mashburn, the 24, come off the corner. And we've seen this all night, Peter. It's like a wreck in slow motion. It gets loose, you go to correct it, and then by the second time, it's just too late. And these guys have wound up pretty much in that exact patch of the infield grass there. And Ben Mashburn having a little bit more trouble than some of the guys we've seen getting this number 24 MaxGrafix car pointed back in the right direction.
Good news is he was able to get it pointed in the right direction. Meanwhile, going back to Nathan Maurer, Garrett, he has already worked his way up to third. He was all the way back to fifth or sixth. He has now moved up into the third spot, 5.5 seconds behind Jared Appel, mowing him down. Is that a pun? I mean, no pun intended, but his name's Nathan Maurer, M-O-W's Mo. He's mowing him down. He just picked up the second spot. Speaking of mowing him down, as Jeffrey Vickery comes in to make his final pit stop here tonight.
Peter, I'm glad you're working on your dad jokes because you're going to become a father real soon, but I feel like maybe you should work on them off of the air so you don't embarrass Carlos.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that statement. I'm even getting booed by the pit crew in the chat. So, whoa. That's Ben Mashburn mashing down his pit crew in the number 24 machine. And that's a pit road speeding penalty. I'll tell you what, if I've ever seen one. I think that one I can visibly say that was a pit road speeding penalty. But Ben Mashburn, I think he might be calling it a night here in the number 24 machine after that incident just a couple of laps ago. There is your race leader mired in lap traffic right now. Ben Mashburn, off the racetrack and appears to have called it a night. Stan Hausman is currently one lap down with the number 2 of Justin White. The chase driver in the number 2 Chevy Camaro, Garrett, just doesn't seem like he's had the pace here tonight. Seems like it's definitely been an off night for Justin. We've seen some races been lights out. Other races just doesn't seem to have found the pace, and tonight seems to be the latter. Unfortunate for one of our chase contenders here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series.
Peter, I consider myself a Justin White fan. I really just appreciate everything he does for NSRA and then even over at TNR where he helps me out tremendously. And it's tough to see. Justin seems to be struggling with the pace here as far as his chase goes. And from my experience with Justin, he knows how to set up a race car. He knows how to drive a race car. Something just seems a little bit off. And I think he's out there working. He's putting time in the best he can. I think some other stuff's going on. And he's just trying to get back to where he was. Because when Justin White's there, we've seen him battle Chris Darling to the finish line. We've seen some tremendous runs out of Justin White. I'm hoping in the year 2022 here, he gets his fresh start and he gets back up front where we expect to see him. As we watch this battle between James Miller and Jason Gracias, Jason Gracias trying to move that number 1 forward and get some more points.
Yeah, best battle inside the top 10 right now. In fact, really the only battle inside the top 10. Ryan Johnson, Michael Madden, another battle, but nowhere near as close as this one as Gracias takes it down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Can he put the power down coming out of turn number 2? Yes, he can. Almost cleared James Miller, but is going to do so right here in turn number 3. Use that lower line slide up the racetrack in front of Miller, the only Canadian driver in the field here tonight in the modal Toyota Supra. So Miller slides back to 6th now. Of course, started this race on the pole up at the top of the show. Now he's going to be looking back to Maxwell Castro. As here we are again, Garrett. Maxwell Castro in the number 15 machine. He pitted on lap 111, one lap after Jason Gracias. So slightly fresher tires, and Castro is just going to rip on by James Miller here on the front stretch. So the two drivers fighting it out for the series title, running 5th and 6th. That could be very important as the season winds down next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, because Castro picking up as many points as he can get. And can he run down Jason Gracias with those slightly fresher tires? Only time will tell. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, guess who's starting to catch Jared Appel. Right there is the second place driver of Nathan Maurer. And it's just so impressive, Garrett, that Nathan Maurer, you can see it, closing in, just taking out chunks of that race lead.
Very impressive. Nathan Maurer has had the strategy. He's stuck to it. He's had the speed, and it's definitely showing here. But, Peter, I don't like to count our chickens before we hatch here on 3Y TV. We've had races this season. I remember Sonoma being one, where we were watching the telemetry. They close in on the lead, and then the lead change doesn't happen. I think we also had a race where Jason Gracias was running someone down on fresh tires, and he ended up getting it some contact or getting into the wall. I want to say it was at Michigan or a track similar, and it didn't happen. So, yeah, Nathan Maurer is in the position here to take this lead and win this race. But getting to him is one thing, passing him is another. You never know. You make one mistake, and it's somebody else's ball game.
And we look away for the battle for the race lead for what felt like 15 seconds, and Maurer has absolutely caught the number 51. A lot fresher tires, 14 lap fresher tires for the 971 and Nathan Maurer. He's going to use that Goodyear rubber to the bottom side of the racetrack through turn number 3 and 4 and try and put that pedal to the metal out of turn 4 onto the front stretch. Appel with a strong run on the outside, but can he continue to hold him off? Garrett, I think it's just a matter of time for that 971 to clear the 51, but man, Jared is holding on strong on that high line right now.
It's almost like I knew what was coming, Peter. I mean, we've seen it so much this season that you get there and then you get pinched down in that bottom lane. And when we talked about the progressive banking, we've talked about the different crews at this racetrack throughout this broadcast, and you're seeing it right there. There is no reason that this 51 should still be leading this race with the tire advantage that the 971 has. But due to racing, this is what we get, a tremendous battle for the lead as we look at Nathan Maurer taking another look to the inside here.
Yeah, Maurer down all the way to that yellow line. It flattens out down there, and looks like he lost a little bit of grip because of it. These two catching the lap traffic of Drew Eisenman there in the number 77 Ford Mustang. Drew is currently riding in the 12th position. He pitted on lap number 97, same lap as Jared Appel. But Eisenman going to try and stay up and away from this battle. But here comes Maurer. Can he get underneath? Can he take it 3 wide? He's going to take it 3 wide on 3 wide TV as we head towards turn number 1. Eisenman going to stick on the top side. He's going to, I think he almost thought about coming down onto Jared Appel, but he gave a little bit extra room there. He is the first car now 1 lap down as these two again side by side. Maurer on the inside, Appel on the high side, and he still holds on, coming to 14 to go.
Peter, this is like one of those nature documentaries where you're watching the ant just roll that giant ball up a hill. That's what's happening right here. This 51 is just rolling that ball and just getting to the back home, because I am shocked that he has as much momentum and speed to hold off this 971. And the more laps that go by here, the tires are going to equalize a little bit, and you're going to need even more grip to pass, and you're just not going to find it at the bottom groove, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I really think we should turn on the David Attenborough voice that Nathan Maurer, the 971 machine, in and amongst the cornfields of Iowa, is hunting for his prey in turn number 3 and 4, going to try and pounce to get his nightly dinner. Anyway, the 971 and Nathan Maurer is a fierce animal right there. And trying the high side now. Appel gave him a little bit of the high side, but Maurer not able to take full advantage. Gets a little bit loose out of turn number 2. Now going to have to slot in back behind. This is a great battle for the race win. Third place, Jason Gracias, is about 4 seconds back. Make that 7 seconds back. There he is. Maxwell Castro up to 4th. What a great run for Maxwell Castro considering his whole mess. We did see a little bit of smoke there. Not sure where the smoke all came from. Not seeing anything kind of on my end, but probably the same thing that's happened before here with someone getting loose off of turn number 4. It struck a couple people here tonight. But at least for right now, this battle for the race lead is not backing down. Look, Maurer is, I think he's getting a little bit frustrated there behind the wheel of that Chevy Camaro.
Peter, you read my mind. I was just thinking, I think the bumper is going to happen here. I don't think Nathan Maurer wants to do it, but you're that close. You know your time's running out. You had the tire advantage. You didn't make it happen at that point in time. You might have to give him a little bit of a love tap. I don't think these guys have raced much together. There's probably not some history. There's no friendship there that I know of that you wouldn't take a chance for a win here. And I would not be surprised here as we watch the 971 close in for just a little taparoo here heading into turn 3.
He's going to try again on that low line. Just has not been able to make it work so far here tonight. And Appel holding on again. Has that Michael Schumacher helmet. Of course, Michael Schumacher, who was at one time the winningest driver in Formula 1, now the second most winningest driver. As here comes the 971 Maurer finally trying to get to the outside, but not able to get to the quarter panel of the number 51 machine. It was close there for a brief moment. I thought he was finally going to be able to do it. Oh, is that going to be the bumper? No. Appel here, masterful rear view driving. Just driving out of that rear view mirror all the way around this joint. He's got a little bit of lap traffic up in front of him. That's Brady Smith. Brady jumps down to the bottom side of the racetrack, says, I'm going to stay out of this wicked battle for the race win as we're coming to just 6 laps to go at Iowa.
Brady Smith, that's why he's in the championship contender there. He pulls off, knows these guys are battling for this win, and he's going to take the best seat in the house here. And man, Nathan Maurer, I thought when he took that outside groove that he had this, Peter. And the 51 went from blocking that middle groove and keeping the momentum now to blocking the bottom, using that bottom lane. Wow, Nathan Maurer, that 971, gave it everything it had off that corner, Peter. I'm at a loss here. You better take back over.
Oh, he's doing everything he can, and then some. Again, getting close to the outside wall out of turn number 4. I just wonder how much tire does Nathan Maurer still have left in that machine. We saw Jared Appel get a huge lead. The 971 a half to 3/4 of a second faster per lap, but just not able to do anything. The variable banking around this racetrack not working out in the favor of the 971 machine. Meanwhile, holy smokes, how about this? Battle for championship with championship implications. Maxwell Castro and Jason Gracias toe-to-toe as we are only with 4 laps to go. First and second in the points. They almost make contact. Back up at the front. Battle for the win. Holy cow, Garrett. This is a wild finish here in the cornfields of Iowa.
Peter, there was some fat guy in the booth before this race started. He said, Peter, this is going to be one of our best races of the season. Well, with 3 laps to go here, Peter, I'm looking like I'm getting my second correct statement out of the way this week, so I'm not going to have any more remaining. So if I have to broadcast tomorrow, you're in trouble. But tremendous battle here for first place. The championship contenders battling for third place. This is what Iowa is all about, Peter, and it has not disappointed at all.
It has not disappointed. 2 laps to go here at Iowa. We'll see the white flag next time, followed by the checkers here at the Iowa Speedway. Garrett Appel looking for his first win in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series here in the National Sim Racing Association in the number 51 machine. He has a little over 7/8 of a mile left to go here tonight. Nathan Maurer, does he have anything left in it? Meanwhile, back behind, oh, the 971 hit the wall there coming out of turn number 4. Meanwhile, Maxwell Castro behind Jason Gracias. Gracias going to try and do what Jared Appel is doing up at the front of the field. The 51 has pulled away now. Just a half of a lap here at the Iowa Speedway. Gonna come through turn number 3 and 4 to take home his first win here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. Checkered flag waves. Appel wins at Iowa. Gracias, can he hold on to third? Yes, he can. That will bring the points lead down just a little bit further as we go to Charlotte next week to crown a series champion. What a crazy finish. Castro finishes in 4th, and Gary Eschen rounds out our top 5 here tonight. Doug Neil Bonnet finishes in 6th, James Miller 7th, Ryan Johnson, Michael Madden, and Glenn Grimm rounding out our top 10. But that was a wild finish here tonight. A great finish, a grandstand finish, if you will, to round out the penultimate race of the 2021-2022 Beer Street Journal Grand National Series.
What a battle for the win. What a battle for the championship, Peter. And it was clean. out there. I think Castro and Gracias were giving each other a little bit of love taps out of respect there after the checkered flag. I hope that was the case. But burn it down. If you're a pellet in this 51, I don't think I can think of someone that held on to a win as well as Jared Appel did tonight, Peter. He earned this checkered flag as much as anyone can earn a checkered flag with the way he drove those last 15 or so laps.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a stellar run there at the end. And of course, we are hopefully going to get to have a word with tonight's winner as well as our other top three finishers, driver of the 971 Nathan Maurer and Jason Gracias, who will both be joining us here for some post-race interviews. And why don't we jump ahead with those post-race interviews here, Garrett? Let's see if you can take it away with tonight's third-place finisher, driver of the number one machine, second place in points, Jason Gracias.
Hey, Jason Gracias. I hope you and your family had a nice holiday break there. Welcome back to the NSRA Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. Tough race tonight. You tried a little bit of a different strategy. Wound up beating the number 15 of Maxwell Castro to the line. Gained yourself a couple points heading into next week. Tell us a little bit about your night.
That's all I have to say. I haven't touched iRacing since, I don't know, Richmond and NSRA trucks. So I don't know. Rusty came out, no practice. Ran a terrible race. I don't know. Had fun with Max at the end. I got into him on lap 146. I didn't mean to. I had too much rear brake into it. Misjudged my entry into one. So I'm going to apologize to Max for bumping him in the one. I don't know if you thought that was intentional or not, but it wasn't. So I don't know. Frustrated with myself. That's all.
Yeah, I think you guys were talking after Bristol how you enjoy racing with each other and it's always clean. So I'm sure he's not going to hold this against you. But Jason, you're one of the most experienced drivers out here. We've talked about how long we've raced together, and like you said, you haven't turned your iRacing sim on. You haven't played this since Richmond in the trucks. Did you get better as the race went along, as you got into a groove? Because I think for people in the chat, racing becomes a lot about a groove and hitting your spots. Can you just explain a little bit of that?
Racing's momentum based, so it's doing the same thing every lap, every turn. Knowing when to back it up to have the same entry into one, hit the same apex, hit the same exit off of one and three. So, I don't think I got better. Honestly, I didn't have any practice. I turned maybe like 4 laps between qualifying and practice. So I didn't have a brake bias style. I didn't have my steering ratio set. It was just a sloppy showing for myself in the one car and Bagcraft and MaxGrafix and all those guys who support me. So just bad race for me overall.
Well, if a bad race is third place and gaining points, I think you could settle for that. But next week we're headed to Charlotte. I think your goal is going to be to win this championship. Do you think you have to do to win the race in order to do so?
Yeah, I'm honestly, I think Max has his championship wrapped up. Unless he wrecks out, doesn't connect or whatever, he wins it. So kudos to Max. We raced each other clean all season. I got into him today. I don't know if he thought it was aggressive or not, or intentional or not. So, again, I apologize to Max. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to give it 110% going to Charlotte. It's one of my favorite tracks. So we'll see how this shakes out.
Well, buddy, we wish you the best of luck next week. And if you want to give any more shout outs, it seems like you're beat and you've had quite the roller coaster, but the floor is yours here for a couple seconds if you'd like it.
Yeah, Garrett, it's nice talking to you. First dude I've talked to on iRacing since 2021, so thank you. It's nice to have a familiar face in my ears. Thanks to Tony Ruccarelli and Bagcraft for coming on board as a sponsor late in the season on the trucks, and I apologize for not having my Bagcraft car made up for this Xfinity series, but I'll try to get it on for next race at Charlotte. If you guys need any cornhole gear, check out bagcraftcornhole.com. Thanks to Chris at MaxGrafix for the usual fire paint schemes. Anybody needs a paint scheme or iRacing paint or logo or whatever have you, anything that has to do with graphic design and computers, reach out to Chris at MaxGrafix on Facebook or MaxGrafix.co. And I would say thanks to the TNR boys for coming out today, but it was just me, so I don't know. Maybe they didn't get the memo that we came back to race this week, so hopefully they come out next week. And thanks to Justin White for putting on this series at NSRA. He's done a great job with the series and admitting it, so kudos to him and his team.
Well, thanks, Jason, and we'll see you next week. And I believe Peter has caught up with our second place finisher, Nathan Maurer, and I hope for the love of God he does not use any bad puns during this interview.
Well, I don't think I can use any puns. I for Nathan Maurer, man, I bet you Nathan's a little bit disappointed with the late race. At least if I was in your position, Nathan, I would have gotten really frustrated there at the end of the race. He had such a fast car, caught up to Jared. You know, he was 7 seconds back when you ran him down. Much faster car there at the end, but man, this racetrack can be very, very difficult to pass that. We saw that a couple times here tonight, and it was difficult for you there at the end. But long story short, for you, fast. That was your race car here tonight.
Yeah, called the shout out to Jared there, man. I know he's new here too. Still impressive. He had 14 lap fresher tires. There's no reason why I shouldn't have gotten around him. I got my nose to his outside there on lap 45 coming out of turn 2. And he was still coming up, so I backed out. I was like, I got 5 laps left. I can still get around him, but I just couldn't, man. I was in the same Discord with Justin. I asked him what kind of guy it was, and he said he's just like me, so figured I better not do anything too dirty to him. So, it was just made the right calls there tonight. Got the 2 early cautions, and I took tires on both, hoping for a long green flag, and hey, yeah, I'm happy with P2. I love this track. I love this car. But yeah, I'm sure it was a fun battle to watch there at the end. And it was, I'm a little disappointed. I'm more disappointed myself. I just couldn't get it done. I mean, 14 lap fresher tires. There's no reason why I shouldn't have gotten around them there.
Yeah, this particular racetrack can sometimes be not too kind to those particular situations, but like you said, a long green flag run. I mean, you hoped for that. Rarely do you get a long green flag run as long as what we saw here tonight. Kind of talk us through what your thoughts were of the race tonight, because sure enough, it was a lot of fun out there on the racetrack. At least it looked like it from up here in the booth.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm not known for my speed. I'm never fast. I'm always good on the long runs. It's just what I need. And that's why I took tires every pit stop there, and just hoping for that long green flag run there after that second caution came out, and that's what I got. I mean, I don't know if you've seen earlier in the race. I mean, I fell back quite a few positions on each green flag drop. Well, actually, now not. I had fresher tires. Some guys didn't take tires, but beginning of the race there, I fell back pretty quick, and then I started gaining, and then that caution came out. I'm like, that's not what I need. But no, congrats to everybody tonight. I mean, these cars were really loose coming out of 4 on fresh tires, and pretty loose coming out of 4 on the at the end of a fuel run. But yeah, I was just thankful to everybody that we didn't have a late race caution there.
Yeah, if we had a late race caution, it could have been a wildly different finish. But it was a wild finish for different regards. Some great racing at the end of the race here tonight. Next week, we end out the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series season at Charlotte Motor Speedway. What are your thoughts about going to the 1.5 mile quad oval?
What track was it again? I'm sorry.
It's Charlotte. One of the
Charlotte, right?
Yeah, one of the quad ovals. You know, they're Texas, Atlanta, Charlotte. They're all the same, right?
Peter, who else is he talking to? We're more important than anybody he could possibly be talking to.
Yeah, I thought my dog was dropping some presents beside me. I was making sure she wasn't doing anything she's not supposed to be. No, Charlotte's a fun track. I guess I'll be back. My other league's on hold right now on Thursday night, so I came here. Thankful for Justin to let me come here and run. I didn't know they were in the chase. I see all these C's beside everybody's names, and yeah, I'm just proud. I finished in front of Jason Gracias for once. He's always whooping my butt in the trucks. So I know we start this playoffs tomorrow night in the trucks. Hopefully this momentum will go on to tomorrow night Daytona, but then again it's Daytona, so you got to have the lucky underwear on tomorrow night.
That is very true here tomorrow night in the National Sim Racing Association. Stay tuned to Sports Podcast Truck Series Daytona International Speedway, 9 o'clock Eastern. And I know we'll see you in that one for sure. Nate, going to be a lot of fun here tomorrow night on the channel. And
gonna try making a championship push. I mean, sucks I had the most points, no wins. I can't win in there.
Yep,
I can't win in here either.
Yeah, you had the most points entering the chase without a win, and most points overall. You just have 5 races to become to do the same and become the champion. The champion. How about that? But we'll see you tomorrow night. Before we let you go, any shout outs you'd like to give out?
Shout out to Beer Street Journal. I think they're the ones that sponsor this league, Xfinity League here. Shout out to Jason and Justin. Chris and Justin for running this Xfinity League. It looks like they're doing a hell of a job here. Great racing all around. Shout out to my old man. I know he's tuned in right now watching. He's probably a little disappointed I couldn't pass the guy in front of me, but maybe we'll take P2. And shout out to you guys for doing a great job broadcasting.
And hopefully you go back, watch it, and it was a lot of fun here tonight up in the 3 Wide TV booth. And Nathan, thanks for stopping on by. Congratulations on your second place finish, and we'll see you next week and tomorrow night.
Have a great night, guys.
All right, folks, that is going to do it with our second place interview of Nathan Maurer. Time to go down to Victory Lane, where Garrett Gleason has found his way down to the number 51 machine, G.
Oh, man, Jared, I'm still sweating from that battle you and Nathan had there at the end. You're fairly new to this league. You've come onto the scene here with 2 top 5s. Before we get to the race, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been doing the sim racing deal?
Yeah, I think I've been on sim racing for about 2 or 3 years now. And most of the time I just do leagues and stuff. I get usually 1 or 2 races in a week, at most during the winter, and then, maybe once a week during the summer when actual racing is going on. But, this just keeps you sharp in the winter, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, we had a lot of fun watching you battle, and you show up in the Days of Thunder, Rowdy Burns inspired 51, and you had a tremendous battle, like I said. What was going through your mind those last, I don't know, it seemed like 50 laps, but it was probably more so like 20 laps or so. Did you think you could hold him off that entire time?
Well, with 30 to go, I was like, oh, I can just kind of coast around. I'll be good to go. And then all of a sudden with 20 to go, he was catching me like a half to, 7/10. So then I started to go to half and then slow down a little bit. But yeah, he caught me in like 8 laps, it felt like. And I was like, geez, he's going to fly right by me. And then he just couldn't get it. He could get inside, but I could get such a better run down the straightaway that he just couldn't get, position on me.
That was one of the most impressive drives I've seen up here in the booth, and the fact you held him off, my mind's still blown by it. I'm definitely a fan after tonight, that's for sure. But at any point throughout that last run, did you think to yourself, man, I played the strategy wrong, I cost myself the race?
Yeah, like I was just saying at first, I was like, I got this because, I had, a pretty good lead. And then with like, once he got within a second, I'm like, well, that was a bad mistake. He's going to cruise right by me and, I'll finish second or third and whatever. It's not a big deal. But then we got to racing and he raced me hard and clean. And, I wouldn't have, expected him to race that clean. But it was really nice to have someone race really clean with me. And I was able to hold on to it.
Yeah, you sure did, and you've come onto the scene here, like I said, with 2 top 5s, and we want you to celebrate this win, enjoy this win, because you've earned it. But next week, we're headed to our season finale at Charlotte. Just want to know what your history is with that track. Do you like running there? Do you think you'll have something for the win?
I'll probably have to buy it. No, I'm just kidding. I've only probably run there in like street stocks. I don't really get to run a lot of Xfinity these are Xfinity cars. So Xfinity, I don't get to run these a lot. So, they're fun to drive and lots of horsepower. So yeah, I think I'll be all right next week.
Well, you just made me feel bad about my racing career because I run Xfinity cars all the time and I struggle to finish in the top 20, and you're running street stocks at Charlotte and you're winning races here. So we're not going to make this about my field ventures, but that's for sure. But just wanted to say congratulations on behalf of Peter and I here in the 3Y TV booth, and I'm going to give you the floor here. If you'd like to give any shout-outs to sponsors or fans or friends, you're welcome to do so now.
Yeah, I just got to thank everyone at Beer Street Journal for sponsoring the series, Simbox, the National Sim Racing Association, you guys at 3Ys TV for putting this on. I really appreciate, the broadcast and stuff like that. I'll get to go watch that later, so that'll be fun. And, just the guys I, get to race with, and, Nathan for running me clean at the end of the race. And it was a lot of fun racing with him. I look forward to racing again next week, with all these guys.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing you out there. And like I said, congratulations. I mean, I don't think there's much to do in Iowa to celebrate. And I know we have a lot of racers from Iowa, Stephen Kegman, if he's listening, but I think I buried him actually in the top groove. That's why that bump was there. But congratulations, Jared. And we'll see you next
my
week.
hauler's already on the way home, but I'm getting on a plane right now, so I'm getting the heck out of Iowa.
All right, bud. We'll see you next week. Enjoy it.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, well, that's going to do it with our post-race interviews here tonight at Iowa Speedway. Let's see if we can bring up the final race results here from the Iowa Speedway. It was one heck of a great race here tonight, Garrett. I have to say that tonight's race probably one of the races of the season, if not the race of the season, but we still have one left next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which could be the best one yet. Jared Appel takes home the race win. Nathan Maurer going to finish second, just a couple tenths back. Jason Gracias, Maxwell Castro, third and fourth on the racetrack, second and first in points entering in tonight in that order. The championship hunt will go down to the final race next week at Charlotte. Gary Eschen going to finish inside the top 5 in fifth. Doug Neal in that Neil Bonnet throwback. The Simbox Motorsports 71 finishing in sixth. James Miller in seventh. Ryan Johnson going to come home in eighth. Had that podium back at Bristol a couple weeks back before the holidays in his debut. Gets that number 38 there in eighth. Michael Madden going to finish in ninth. And Glenn Grimm running out our top 10 there, G.
Hey, good for Glenn Grimm. He's had a rough season there, sneaking into the top 10. Good run, Glenn. Travis Hoffler comes home in 11th. We have our Sheriff, Justin White, coming home in 12th. Stan Hausman, not the run he was looking for in that Beer Street Journal, 39, coming home in 13th. Jeffrey Vickery in the Threat Level Midnight Machine comes home in 14th. Brady Smith made the chase, has not had the luck in the chase so far, rounds out our top 15. Adam Pettit had an interesting venture there with the pit road going on there. Comes home in 16th. Wow. Drew Eisenman finished in 17th, Peter. We don't see him back this far on a regular basis. Ben Mashburn broke the sound barrier when he was going down pit road. Comes home in 18th. Shane Ledoux, 19th. And Race Clark rounds out your top 20. Peter, I'll just finish the thing. Why make you work even harder? Race Clark comes home in 20th. Chris Darling, 21st. And John Freeman did not turn a lap.
So 21 drivers took a lap here tonight at the Iowa Speedway. And Jared Appel in the number 51 machine takes home the race win. But folks, man, it was an awesome night here tonight on 3Y TV, the National Sim Racing Association. Make sure, of course, to join us for the season finale next week at 8:30 Eastern Time. Next Thursday, so that'd be the 13th of January. It's going to be a wild one, I'm sure, and I'm looking forward to it already. Of course, tomorrow night we got a wild one at Daytona International Speedway for the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, January 7th, 9 o'clock Eastern. Going to be a lot of fun seeing the NSRA back in action on the high banks of Daytona. But, other things going on behind the scenes. We, of course, got our first 3 members of the pit crew here tonight. Our very first pit crew member, Ahidi Rig, came on in, became a member of the pit crew. Carlos Acosta, Chris Darling also jumping on in. Big shout out to them. Chris Darling also coming in with $10.02 of super chats. Ahidi Rig coming in with a $5.01 super chat. I think they're just trying to one-up themselves. And I mean, that the competition of sim racing even spills over into the super chats here, Garrett. And it's going to be a wild one next week. Hopefully we see the same level of competition there.
Yeah, next week's going to be fun. Charlotte, everybody likes running Charlotte, another track. Whoever picked these tracks, tremendous job, by the way. And we're heading to next week. But, Peter, I'm thinking about tomorrow. I think we're going to get more members of the pit crew. I think we're going to get at least 4 members tomorrow. The truck series, they're always rowdy. They have Drew up in the booth. They seem to like him better than me for some reason. And we're going to see what happens if another one of my predictions comes through, Peter. True. Excuse me, not true. Well, I've been drinking during the broadcast. BeerStreetJournal.com.
There you go, BeerStreetJournal.com. Make sure to check them out for all your craft brew needs. Also, got to give a shout out to the other series sponsors here in the National Sim Racing Association. Of course, our good friends at CraigSetupShop.co.uk, Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, MaxGrafix.co, Becoming Dr. Mashburn, the podcast, and more. It is awesome. One thing that we like to do here, though, before we go, is hand out our biggest mover of the race award. And here tonight, that is going to go to driver of the 08 machine. Glenn Grimm picks up 11 spots to finish inside the top 10, started 21st, finishes in 10th. Congratulations to Glenn Grimm, our Taz Racing Customs biggest mover of the race award. If you have a custom diecast that you need, go check out Taz Racing Customs. It makes a great gift. I know the holidays just ended, but it'd be a great gift. See, now you got me getting my tongue twisted there, Garrett. Great gift for a sim racer that you know, or perhaps you're watching here and you're related to one of these drivers, and you say, you know what, that'd be really cool to get them. Go check out Taz Racing Customs. There's a Facebook link in the description of the video. Thanks to the pit crew and all of the super chatters here tonight. Garrett, any final thoughts?
No, sir, Peter. I had so much fun here tonight. I might just stay in this booth tomorrow, and Drew can wrestle me if he wants to do the Daytona broadcast.
Are we going to have the Iowa Hell in a Cell, do you think? Or the Cornfield Rumble?
Peter, I'm unplugging my mic. You don't deserve a response.
Okay, well, that's about going to do it for us here tonight on 3 Wide TV, folks. So make sure you stay safe and all that good stuff, and we shall see ya!